Hello, welcome.
Hello.
How are you today, Christine?
I'm all right. How are you?
Oh, good. What have you been up to lately?
Oh, just doing homework and getting ready for summer, I guess.
Good. Did I see you at the baseball game the other day?
You did. I was there.
That
Yeah.
was pretty exciting to watch the boys win again.
I know. Go
Are you?
Braves.
Are you? What was your favorite part of watching the game the other day?
That home run.
Which one?
The last one to win the game.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
that was definitely very exciting.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad things are going okay. Everything else is going all right in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if you know why I called you in today, but I do understand that you've missed a few of your math classes over the past couple weeks, and I know the last time we had spoke, you were doing all right in math class, and you were understanding everything, and you were going along. But it's been a few weeks since we talked, and so I wanted to touch base. And then I heard from your teacher that you had skipped or missed a couple classes, and so I just want to check out what's going on with you and what's
Yeah.
been up.
It's been tough to focus in that class. I'm struggling. I kind of fell behind, and then as I started to fall behind, it just kind of became scarier, more intimidating to go to class. And then, the class is hard to focus in. Everybody's really distracted and chatty, so it's hard for me to focus. So it's just intimidating now, I guess. So skip.
Is the well, so the class is distracting. The people that you are sitting around that's distracting? Is it
Yeah,
the noise level in the class?
all of the above.
All of the above.
Hmm.
Okay. And have you spoken with your teacher about this at all?
No, not yet. I'm scared to approach him because I'm falling behind and skipping.
Got it. Okay. Well, I can definitely understand why you'd be maybe intimidated to go and talk to him because you've been avoiding the situation.
Mm.
Yeah, avoiding the situation is something that, I mean, have you ever been in a situation that you've been able to avoid and it was beneficial for
Successful?
you or successful for you?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Thinking right off the top of my head, it's just like a go-to reaction.
And let's see, what else is going on in the classroom that's making it difficult for you to?
I think just the workload of all of the classes collectively,
Mhm.
it's hard to keep up.
So your other classes on top of your math.
Yeah,
Okay.
but just math is the most difficult, so it's the easiest one to fall behind. And
Sure.
then, like I said, the noise of all the people in that class. Yeah, that's
So I think I heard you correctly in that, and please correct me if I'm wrong. That it's easy to avoid that class because it's difficult to do the work in that.
exactly.
Well, as you know, and most of the students know, that math is one of the core subjects. Math is something that you're going to have to take, and you're going to have to take a certain amount of those in high school in order for you to graduate and go on to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from previous conversations we've had, that is one of your goals is to go on to college.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got to kind of figure out a way or come up with a plan of action that we can do to get you back into that classroom, and maybe take away some of that anxiety of having to deal with your teacher who you've been avoiding for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And also how to deal with the situation that the classroom is in. Because what I'm hearing from you, I think, is it's not that math is too hard for you to do. I think it's you're distracted and you can't really focus in the class
Mm-hmm.
because of the students
Peers.
around you and your peers
Mm-hmm.
and the way maybe the classroom is set up. Or is the classroom set up in rows? Is it set up in groups?
Rows.
Rows. Okay. And so you have someone to the left and to the right of you, and maybe
Front,
someone in front and behind.
Mhm.
And are any of those your friends, or are they just classmates?
Everyone is my friend.
Everyone is your friend. Okay. Well, I do know that you are a very popular girl. So that may be a challenge in other classes as well. I would imagine if you're very popular, that you've got a lot of friends that you want to talk to in your classes, which could be distracting, right?
Right.
So, how could you avoid those distractions in class?
Could probably talk to them, talk to the people I'm sitting next to, let them know I need to focus, maybe talk to the teacher, have him move me elsewhere, to people that I'm less likely to talk to. And then, I don't know, just talking, being open and communicative with people.
Right. So that I think you said a couple of good things there. Definitely, I think moving from the current situation you're in to a different area in the class that maybe your friends aren't sitting in may be a helpful tool for you to be able to focus a little bit better in class.
Mhm.
And you also talked about what we had mentioned earlier, the getting over the anxiety of going and talking to your teacher.
Mhm.
You know, how many? I think you've missed 3 classes now
Mhm.
in the past couple of weeks, and so you're probably, I'm guessing, you may be a little behind on some of your work.
Right.
And I think that's why the teacher came to talk to me, was just to have me help you figure out a way to let's get you back in class and let's get you back up to par. Because I know, like we said before, your grades last semester were pretty good in the math class.
Mhm.
Well, now let me ask you this: were you sitting in the same seat last semester as you were this semester?
No.
Okay. And so, okay, that I think we can use that then. Why don't we do this? I want you to come up with a couple ideas. You've already mentioned a couple to me about ways that we could get you back in the classroom and ways that we can catch you up to where the class is at right now.
Mhm.
You had mentioned, first of all, I think we need to go and talk to the teacher.
Right.
And, what, before we do anything, what we're really trying to do here, Christine, is we're trying to build a plan and set a goal for ourselves that we can accomplish.
Mhm.
And when we're setting goals for ourselves, this is something you can use in the future. We want to make it attainable. We want to make it reasonable, and we want to make it something that's going to be obviously beneficial for us.
Mhm.
And so I want you to start thinking about, okay, we're going to put together an action plan, me and you. How can we get you back in the classroom? And the first thing we talked about was talking to the teacher.
Right.
But it's not enough just to say, I'm going to talk to the teacher. You got to have a plan for what you're going to say to the teacher,
Mhm.
how you want the conversation to go, and when it comes to that time, you need to be flexible in your communications with your teacher and be truthful and honest
Mhm.
and talk to them like they are a regular human being.
Mhm.
As you know, as counselors, the teachers here at the school, we've all been in your shoes before. We know what's going on, and most of the time when you come and talk to us, we'll be pretty open and understanding and be willing to work with you guys to help you in any way possible. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about what you're going to say to your teacher, since you haven't seen him in a couple weeks and you're a few assignments behind.
Mhm.
Hopefully you're not any tests behind. I don't think so, but and so maybe if you come up with a couple questions or a couple of statements that you want to explain to your teacher.
Mhm.
What are some of those that you think might be helpful in this situation?
Well, I think I would just approach him and let him know the situation. Apologize probably for skipping class, and then ask him if it's still possible to do the assignments that I missed, and if I can, when can I turn them in? Maybe if there's any extra credit I could do, or any study sessions I can attend, to really show that I want to do well. Or if maybe I can go to like tutoring or something, if he knows of somewhere or somebody that can help me.
Sure. And he might even be able to tutor during his office hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be something that you would want to consider. You may want to consider going to talk to him during his office hours instead of during class time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you've already missed a few classes, and you don't want to take away his time anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be respectful of the teacher and the class's time,
Mm-hmm.
because all the other students in there are still trying to learn as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, part of what we talked about was the environment, the learning environment
Mm-hmm.
that you're sitting in the classroom. And so you've got an idea now of, we're going to go talk to the professor,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to explain why you haven't been going to the class.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to try to work with him to come up with some ways to fix this problem, just kind of like what we're doing here. And so I want you to be open and honest with him. And, we talked about, you feel like one of the reasons you haven't been going is you haven't been able to focus in class.
Mm-hmm.
And you haven't been able to focus because of your surroundings.
Right.
So you need to be willing to talk to your teacher about that. And so could you think of a few different ways that you could explain that to your teacher?
Yeah, I mean, I could tell him that, the people that I'm sitting next to make it really difficult for me to focus and pay attention to the lesson, and then ask if there's any way that maybe we could move me or put me in a better seat to, focus and learn.
So let me just interject real quick. Those people that are sitting around you, they're your friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine you probably don't want to hurt your friends' feelings.
Yeah, right.
So,
cool.
yeah, or you don't want to lose face, whatever it may be, with your friend. So you may want to consider how you would like to handle that with your friends as well, because your friends may want to sit next to you in class.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how your teacher handles the seating chart, or if he even has a seating chart, or if you guys just come in and sit down.
Mm-hmm.
How does that usually work in your class? Does he have a seating chart, or is there another setup in class?
No, there's no seating chart.
Okay. So students come in and you guys want to sit down next to your friends. That's a natural thing to do. And so now this is another dilemma that you're going to be faced with in class, is whether you stick with your buddies and your friends and hang out, which we know, as we've talked, has not been a successful route for you so far.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you're going to have to think of a way to talk to your friends about this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I could make the suggestion of, when you talk to your professor, maybe explain, or your teacher, maybe explain that maybe, and this is completely up to you, how you want to handle with your friends. So you may want to say, guys, you know what? I'm not getting anything done here. My grade's dropping. I'm distracted the whole time in class. I need to focus, so I'm not going to sit with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could ask the teacher, if you're not comfortable enough in doing that, say, can you assign seating or do something where I'm pulled away from my friends in class because they're distracted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that, I think, is something that we need to consider as well as a plan of action of how are you going to manage that relationship with your friends now that I think you realize that it's distracting in class for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have ideas or suggestions about that?
I'd probably just talk to the teacher, see what works best for him for the class altogether. If maybe setting up a seating arrangement would be beneficial to the whole class, or if it might throw off the class. And if that's the case, then I will gladly talk to my friends.
Now, because you're in high school, I'm asking you to do a lot of this on your own. But if for some reason, when you go through this plan of action that we're working on, you run into trouble along the way, say the teacher is putting up a fight against rearranging the seats or creating a seating chart, I would be more than happy to go and talk to the teacher about that as well, and about what we've discussed. Again, what we've discussed is confidential, it stays between me and you, but I'm more than happy to go and talk to your math teacher about setting a seating chart and explaining how beneficial it is, not only for him but for the students. Okay. But I think to start off, let's start with what we've been working on so far. So first thing is, what's our first plan of action?
Talk to the teacher.
Talk to the teacher. Okay. And in that conversation, what are you guys going to talk about?
What we can do to, apologize, and then, explain to him what's going on. I've been, kind of slacking off because it's hard to focus. And here's, why, here's what I think we can do to fix it, what works best for you, what can we do?
That's really good. I think what the questions that you're asking or the statements that you're giving me, you are taking control of the situation that you put yourself in. And you are now trying to collaborate with the teacher in ways to solve this, or ways to benefit or help you get back or caught up or get back to the grade that you had before. So at this point, I think what we need to do is, because our session is almost up, I think let's figure out the exact plan that we're going to do. So we've talked about, you've got an action plan where you're going to go talk to the teacher, and you're going to explain why you haven't been there, apologize, and give the teacher good detail of why you weren't there, and a good explanation, because most of the teachers are going to be willing to work with a student who wants to get better, who wants to be successful in their class. And so you're going to take a collaborative approach. You're going to talk to the teacher, but you're not going to say, you need me to move, or I need you to move me. You're going to say, I think maybe these are some ideas that we can incorporate in your classroom to help me and maybe some of the other students who are getting distracted, able to focus. And then from there you can, at least that will get you back into the classroom. And that will give you an opportunity, if the teacher can, to move your seat, to be around students that maybe are less distracting, and you'll be able to focus a little more. Now, how are we going to keep this from happening again? Because what happens when you come into class and you sit down in the seat across the room from where your friends usually sit, but they want to come over and sit next to you anyway?
I probably have to talk to my friends about it and just let them know the situation at hand, and that I'm really trying to work on my grade, and that I can't be distracted, and that I feel this is the best option.
So do you know, or have you heard the word peer pressure before?
Oh, yeah.
So that may be something that you're going to have to deal with in your class with your friends, is them kind of pushing back a little bit, saying, hey, you know what, you're our friend, we want to sit with you, why are you pushing us away? And sometimes, really good friends will understand. And sometimes really good friends are not going to understand, because they're able to focus enough to get the grades that they're trying to get, right? And so that may be a difficult conversation for you to have with some of your friends, but if you're open and willing to do that, I think that could be another helpful step in the right direction. So for this final action plan, you're going to talk to the teacher.
Mhm.
You're going to try to keep it in a collaborative way where you're explaining your situation, and you're going to make a couple of suggestions on what you think might help you become more successful and want to go to class and are able to focus during class. And then you're also going to have a conversation with your friends.
Mhm.
And again, that one may be a little rougher to do because I understand the peer pressure, and I understand how important it is for your friendships and the relationships that you have. And I would never want anything to happen between the relationships that you have with your friends. But you guys are all here for school. School is the most important thing when you're here. And so by doing so, I think it's going to make some of your friendships stronger. Okay? So what I'll do is I'll check in with you in a couple weeks and see how things are going, and see how the conversations went with your teacher and with your friends, and we'll check on your grades again and see if there's anything else we need to work on there.
Perfect.
All right?
Sounds good.
All right, get back
Thank
to
you.
class. Okay?
Talk to
All
you
right.
later.